What if the boy wonder who once called Diddy his big brother ends up being the witness who turns the whole case upside down? In a packed Manhattan courtroom, prosecutors have already paraded ex-assistants, dancers, even a Homeland Security agent who described AR-15 parts stashed beside designer luggage. But somewhere on the sealed witness list sits one name fans never expected: Usher Raymond IV. For years, he's dodged questions about the summer he spent living in Diddy's penthouse. Now, federal agents want him under oath. A leaked subpoena hints at questions about masked flavor camp parties, $20 million in hush payments, and a contract that may have given away his first 5 albums for pocket change. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll hear how one courtroom rumor, a single page of an old NDA, and a mental health stay nobody knew about have the power to crack an empire that once seemed untouchable. Sean Diddy Combs is fighting 5 felony counts: racketeering conspiracy, transporting individuals across state lines for exploitation, and 2 separate sex trafficking charges. If the jury believes federal agents, the sentence could stretch to life. Week 1 felt like a blockbuster in slow motion. Jurors heard about freak-offs, drug-fueled nights where models, dancers, and low-level staff were allegedly ordered to perform while cameras rolled. Dawn Richard, once Diddy's protege in Danity Kane, told jurors she watched him punch Cassie Ventura so hard she folded at a Beverly Hills restaurant. The courtroom froze as prosecutors rolled CCTV stills, candles, empty pill blisters, and a guest book that read like a Billboard Top 10. Then came the mother load, Cassie herself. 4 days on the stand. She described blackmail, threats, and a secret settlement that ballooned to $20 million after a single night of negotiation. She wasn't the only shock. Diddy's former assistant swore the mogul popped designer ecstasy pills shaped like President Obama's face. And through every gasp, spectators kept whispering the same question: when does Usher walk in? But to understand why his name echoes like a warning shot, you have to start 13 floors above Midtown, summer of '94. Usher was just 14 when industry kingmaker L.A. Reid shipped him to New York. The arrangement sounded golden: live with Diddy for a month, soak up showmanship, then fly back to Atlanta, a superstar. A limo pulled up to 77th Street, and a teenager walked into what friends later called the flavor camp. Breakfast? Champagne and strawberry blunts. Bedtime? There wasn't one. Nights blurred into dawn, masked guests, camcorders balanced on tripods, and a rule every newcomer learned within 24 hours: never ask who's filming. Usher would tell friends later that he'd wake at 3 a.m. to strangers shuffling past his door, heat lamps glowing, candles burning down to nubs. Diddy's mentorship, he'd discover, had zero to do with vocal runs and everything to do with submission. Watch how men move, the mogul supposedly told him. That's the only lesson worth learning. If it sounds like pure rumor, remember this: Usher's mother pulled him out 5 weeks early. She refused to explain, even when reporters pressed her during Usher's My Way tour. Only later did insiders whisper that she'd read an early draft of a Bad Boy Records contract, one that kept Usher locked into 5 albums and forfeited his masters until the age of 35. Flash forward 25 years, and the same penthouse memories now sit at the heart of federal subpoenas. 2 months before trial, YouTube burst with an 8-minute clip titled "Usher Destroys Diddy in Court, Full Testimony." It racked up 3 million views in 48 hours, then vanished. Snopes called it AI voice cloning. The channel owner admitted it was a dramatic reconstruction, yet rumors refused to die. Why? Because the clip quoted moments only insiders could know: a Caribbean retreat in '95, NDAs that smelled of hush money, and a phrase, flavor camp, Diddy himself repeated in a resurfaced Drink Champs interview. Prosecutors keep their witness list sealed, but one hint leaked: a subpoena numbered U37R, initials matching only one living artist on Bad Boy's roster. Court reporters spotted a process server outside Usher's Las Vegas residency 2 weeks ago. His team refused comment. If the clip was fiction, Dawn Richard's sworn words were not, and she just named Usher from the stand. May 19th, 2025. Dawn Richard faced the jury and spoke 13 words that set Twitter on fire. Usher was right there when Diddy punched Cassie in the stomach. The incident allegedly happened in 2010 at a West Hollywood restaurant. Usher, Ne-Yo, Jimmy Iovine, and a handful of high rollers watched Cassie double over after a single blow. Richard said the table went silent. No one called 911, and a terrified Cassie was escorted out a back door. By lunch break, paparazzi cameras hunted all four men. Nayo issued a generic "prayers for all involved." Usher? Complete radio silence. If prosecutors prove he witnessed battery and never reported it, they could paint a pattern. Industry insiders intimidated into silence while Diddy's influence grew. Silence, of course, is easier to buy when contracts make speech a crime. Inside evidence box 147 sit 2 decades of paperwork, NDAs signed under flashing cameras, rider addendums stapled to tour deals, and one 19-page contract typed on fax paper. That one bears Usher's teenage signature. Clause 9b prevents unauthorized reproduction of audiovisual documentation. Lawyer speak for never leak the tapes. Clause 12 threatens financial forfeiture of future royalties if the signee disparages Bad Boy or its officers. Translation? Talk and kiss your masters goodbye. Usher's estimated royalty gap: $4.3 million. A private accountant tallied mechanicals for his first 2 albums and found a black hole where checks should be. When the singer raised the issue, insiders claimed Diddy laughed. If you knew what was really owed, you'd never sleep again. The same account system, prosecutors argue, trapped artists Carl Thomas, Total, Black Rob, and even the late Craig Mack. Some negotiated cheap settlements just to tour under their own names. Others drifted into obscurity. One, says Usher's leaked journal entry, vanished from public life after threatening to go public. Money can muzzle speech, but trauma has its own volume knob, and you can't turn it down forever. In August 2001, at the peak of 8701, Usher disappeared for a week. Fans guessed exhaustion. Court filings now hint at something darker: a private mental health facility in Northern California. The intake report, partially redacted, lists PTSD symptoms, panic attacks triggered by orange vanilla candles, and masked faces. Sound familiar? Prosecutors think so. They've subpoenaed the clinic's director for a sealed-door deposition, hoping to trace trauma back to Diddy's penthouse rituals. They're also building a pattern. Other protégés checked into rehab or psych wards after freak-off weekends, some for OD'd episodes, one for an attempt to off himself. None went public. A forensic psychologist explained to the jury this week, when power controls your exit doors, silence becomes the cheaper therapy. Which raises the looming question: who will finally unlock the exit and step onto the stand? Jurors were shown a spreadsheet coded Celeb key, more than 100 names. Prosecutors won't confirm who's a witness, who's just background fodder, or who's there to keep jurors from binge-watching gossip during deliberations. But insiders spotted Usher, the teenager who saw too much; Michael B. Jordan, rumored to have attended at least one Star Island gathering; Kid Cudi, whose car exploded after Diddy allegedly threatened to blow it up; Britney Spears, tangential, but tied to a Beverly Hills dinner party Cassie described. Some lawyers predict stars might plead the fifth to avoid headlines. Problem: in federal court, immunity deals entice reluctant voices. If prosecutors offer limited immunity, a celeb can testify without self-incrimination, even if that means confirming NDA-protected secrets. One entertainment attorney whispered to Variety, "If Usher takes that stand, every clause Diddy ever wrote turns to ash." And that ushers us, no pun intended, to the crossroads. 3 truths now hang in the balance. The stakes. Diddy faces life behind bars, and the music industry faces a mirror it desperately wants to shatter. The money. $20 million hush deals, missing royalties, and master recordings locked away like ransom letters. The witness. Usher's quiet could either stay golden or turn to thunder in open court. If he talks, jurors won't just hear about a punch or a bizarre party. They'll see how power preyed on teenagers chasing spotlight dreams. They'll hear how contracts became paper handcuffs, how NDAs bullied mental health into the shadows, and how an entire industry learned to look away. But here's the twist. Whether Usher testifies or not, the reckoning has already begun. Prosecutors have the tapes, the emails, the raid photos. Don, Richard, and Cassie have shattered the veneer of consensual adult fun. And fans now understand that platinum hits sometimes hide platinum-plated nightmares. So we end with the only question that matters. In a business built on secrets, Who's brave enough to speak next? Drop your thoughts below. Should artists break NDAs for the greater good or honor the contracts that made them rich? And don't forget to subscribe, because the minute the next witness takes the stand, we'll be right here, pulling back the curtain on everything the headlines leave out.